All right, so I just want to welcome everyone to our October Human Experience speaker series. Really humbled and honored and excited to welcome Scooter to our series this month. And so before I introduce Scooter, I just want to orient everybody to our Human Experience series. So the Department of Social Work, for those of you who are not social work majors in the room today, is a professional program. And as a professional program, we have learning competencies. So every social worker going through the social work program has to demonstrate by the time they graduate learning competencies, not only for our faculty here at the school, but also out in the community underneath the supervision of licensed social workers. So one of those competencies is our competency number 3, engagement in anti-racism, diversity, equity, and inclusion in our social work practice. So what we do and how we start all of our human experience speakers series events out with is reading through the competency. It's loaded. There's a lot of language in there. There's a lot of concepts in there. And what we know is repetition. The more we talk about it, the more we read it out loud, the more we listen and engage with our speakers, we begin to understand what this competency really means. So that as you get to be seniors and in the field, you feel equipped and prepared to be practicing. So social work competency number 3 says that social workers understand how racism and oppression shape human experiences, and how these two constructs influence practice at the individual, family, group, organizational, and community levels, and in policy and research. Social workers understand the pervasive impact of white supremacy and privilege and use their knowledge, awareness, and skills to engage in anti-racist practice. Social workers understand how diversity and intersectionality shape human experiences and identity development and affect equity and inclusion. The dimensions of diversity are understood as the intersectionality of factors including, but not limited to, age, caste, class, color, culture, disability and ability, ethnicity, gender identity and expression, generational status, immigration status, legal status, marital status, political ideology, race, nationality, religion, spirituality, sex, sexual orientation, and tribal sovereign status. Social workers understand that this intersectionality means that a person's life experiences may include oppression, poverty, marginalization, and alienation, as well as privilege and power. Social workers understand the societal and historical roots of social and racial injustices and the forms and mechanisms of oppression and discrimination. Social workers understand cultural humility and recognize the extent to which a culture's structures and values, including social, economic, political, racial, technological, and cultural exclusions, may create privilege and power, resulting in systemic oppression. I said it was a lot, right? It's loaded. And so we're excited to have this series. We're excited to welcome Scooter today. And so I'm just going to introduce Scooter now. Scooter Draughn is a man of God on a mission, using his God-given gifts to inspire and motivate others to choose God. Through his faith and life experiences, he seeks to help people grow spiritually and live more purposeful, fulfilling lives. Inspirational poetry, motivational speaking, and community engagement are just a few ways he accomplishes his kingdom work. So with that, Scooter, I'm going to turn it over to you. We really appreciate you being here, and yeah, give your attention to Scooter.
Oh, gotcha. Yep.
Okay. You check to see if my live. I'm in there. I'm in the live.
Yep.
All right. Good. How's everybody doing?
Good.
I'm a little bit nervous. I try not to say that. I try to say excited instead of nervous. This is like my first time doing this. But I know God has called me to doing this. And when you get called to higher heights, you have to be obedient. You know, you can't climb mountains to get afraid of heights. So you just gotta climb. So that's what I'm doing. So I created this little graphic. I do some graphics and stuff. So maybe I'll get myself, but yeah, this is what it is. And I'm just gonna get right into it. This presentation, I'm more of an engaging kind of guy. I want to have discussion. So if you take notes, write some questions, I'll try my best to get through this and and engage with you. To be honest with you, going through this, the last 4 years, I've been doing a lot. And I've been through a lot my whole life. This is my mother and my sister. They surprised me and came. Yeah, collectively, we've been through our trials. And I'm just grateful that I'm able to tell my story. I know I can't tell my whole story, but I'll be able to tell enough of it. And hopefully it inspires and motivates you to choose God like I did. All right, let's get into it. So, we bought this, so we see Grace. All right, who is Scooter? You asked, I got some notes too, so if you see me looking down, I'm reading. All right, so who is Scooter? If you ask 100 people, they'll probably give you 100 different answers. Some of them probably right, some of them probably not so right. But if you were to ask me, and I was to give a title to myself, it'd just be my name. What best describes me is my name, because in order to know what my name means, you have to get to know me. You have to invest in relationship. And that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to allow you to have the ability to know me on a deeper level in some ways that I haven't really been vulnerable, so we can engage in a deeper way. So thank you for investing your time to get to know me a bit. I really appreciate it. All right, let's get into it. It's going to get deep, so if I pause or get a little bit emotional, it's just, I'm human. All right. So ultimately, I am inspiration, motivation. God said I am. We know in the word it says, I am that I am. God is the Almighty I am. And one day on my journey, God told me to inspire and motivate. So that's what I do. I inspire and motivate in various ways through my story, and my story is still going. For decades, the inconsistencies in my life profoundly impacted my behavior and thought patterns, often shaking my stability and trust in myself. These challenges influenced my decision-making, but ultimately taught me the value of aligning my actions with faith to foster my personal growth and success. So I'm a poet. One of the things on the list is a poet, right? And I've always used poetry as a way to express myself. I feel like it's a gift that God gave me, and I use it. So how I'm doing this presentation is in a poetic form. I'm gonna tell you a story, and it's gonna rhyme. It's gonna be like a poem. So just bear with me, and I hope you enjoy it. All right. For many years, my life's been a constant fight for consistency, a world full of so many inconsistencies. In order to know who I am, it's a must that you know at least a little bit about my history. Clint Scooter Draughn, that's my given name. My brother's name. Or Clint Christopher Draughn. My brother named me Scooter. And a lot of people ask why. It's because I pretty much scooted before I walked. I ain't crawled. So I was on the go. I got up and kept it moving. And it stuck with me because I'm constantly on the go. I'm constantly doing things. I'm constantly moving. That's how I describe it. Get back to the poem. It started off before I was born. Everything was fine until I was choking on my umbilical cord. My birth to this earth was by way of an emergency C-section. So I experienced some stress before I took my first breath. I had to get cut out of my mom's stomach in order to get here. My family moved from the projects in Jersey City to a suburb of the Twin Cities. We stayed here a few years, then went back out east for a year, then came back out here. So Jersey City, here work projects, and this is, we moved in multiple apartments and things like that, but the bulk of my childhood was in this. It's like I call it our version of our projects. You know what I mean? There's some apartments and townhomes, and it was. So all right. Pops didn't come with us though. That did make things difficult. throughout the years, he was there and wasn't there. So I was in between both worlds. I had the luxury of having a two-parent home and then, a single parent. You're gonna see a lot of inconsistencies in this presentation. But one thing I can say has been consistent, obviously, been God and my mother. But man, I ain't gonna lie, we had some good times. My family meant everything. So you'll see here, we have birthday parties the old school way at the apartment at our house. That's my brother, my other brother. Video games, family road trips back out east, family barbecues. And this will all come into play when you see further along in the presentation. Of course, I played sports with players and coaches that didn't quite look the same, didn't speak the same, and couldn't understand my pain. But some years things changed. You'll see the changes. We can go back to if we have time, but if you pay attention to it, what's one change you see? If I go from here to here, okay, right, and then here, you see, okay. What's the difference between these two and these two? Hold that thought. So I asked that question at the end. We'll go back to it. All right. I'm gonna say that last part again. Of course, I played sports with players and coaches that didn't quite look the same, didn't speak the same, and couldn't understand my pain. But some years things changed. I went from being full of life to seeing a lot of death. This next slide is going to be pretty deep, but I'm doing it for a reason. I went from being full of life to seeing a lot of death. Imagine being this year. Imagine being this young trying to kill yourself. That was the first 10. And then it happened again and again, countless times with many more traumatic experiences at me. I started smoking weed when I was 12. Me and my homie Donzel. See, his mama was dying and he was taught to not cry. See, his mama was dying and we were taught to not cry. So we did other things to survive it. I remember riding around with my older cousin, breaking down his weed while he made crack sales. But I looked up to him. He did a lot for me, and he meant well. See, my hero wasn't Superman or Batman, it was Fat Man. And Fat Man was in jail. He wasn't a bad man, he was just dealt a bad hand. But there was nothing he wouldn't do for his baby brother he named Scooter. My brother graduating, it's me visiting him in prison. More prison business right here. As I grew, I learned from him. Collect calls, I talked to him. He got out and went in, repeated pattern again. And I was blessed to still have my brother and friends. My other brother right there, that was like my right hand, 3 years apart. Yeah, nice thing. I started having sex, chasing money and respect. I kept a job and went to school, but was always anxious and depressed. As smart as I am, ain't it funny how I was running around? As smart as I am, ain't it funny how I was running wild, turning from a boy into a man? Then it happened again. I ended up crashing again. I woke up in a suicide unit wearing a hospital gown. That wouldn't be the only time I'd be admitted, I admit it. And honestly, the first time wasn't the worst time. Honestly, the first time was the worst time. But every time I went, I requested a Bible and got in his word. This time I was 21 years old, reading Job. So the first time I went into the suicide unit, I requested a Bible. I was half asleep. They brought me upstairs, and they asked me if I wanted something. I was like, the Bible, and I'm half asleep. I think the next night that I was in there, I woke up because someone was talking in their sleep, this guy, and I couldn't sleep. And I just drank some coffee, and I opened the Bible. As soon as I opened it, I thought it said job. I didn't know. And I read Job, and God spoke to me directly for the first time in my life in suicide. My life wasn't over, I know, but I got out and got back in that mode. Decision after decision, collision after collision, dodging that long and narrow road. I did get baptized though. But how ironic I get baptized, then in the same year my daddy dies after I helped my mom fight cancer twice in the years prior. You ever had to shave your mom's head but couldn't cry, even though it was eating you up inside? Because you had to be the strength you needed to stay alive. In the meantime, in between time, I go through a lot of different things I don't have time to explain in this time frame. But the fact still remains that I was indecisive. So what do? Repeat similar cycles until I come to this place of almost dying. Back surgery. The surgeon had to cut my spine, but gave me too much anesthesia and I stopped breathing. Where does this leave me? In a recovery room, getting oxygen through a tube in my nose, waking up all alone. So I cried, and God comes to me to tell me why. And that he'll never leave me nor forsake me, but always stay by my side. Give me 1 second. Mouth's dry. So I had a surgery in 2017, and when I woke up, my mother was kind of frantic. She comes to me and like, school, oh, and like relieved that I woke up, my eyes open. This is what I remember clearly. And she stayed for a little bit, and then she told me that she had to go. And I remember this vividly. This is a big part of my testimony. Because my mother never left me ever in my life. I never imagined her leaving me. She never did. And in this moment, when I was bleeding out of my spine, on meds, I had, that's me right there. I didn't think she would leave me. And when she left, I saw her walking. I had just woke up. I didn't know what was going on. I saw her walking out, and I heard God vividly say, don't be mad at her. He said, I told her to leave, and she doesn't even know. And I just lay there because I started crying. And when he said that, he said, I did that because I wanted you to know when everybody leaves you, I'm still with you. I'll always be with you. And at that moment, my tears turned into joy, and I fell asleep, and I had some of the best sleep of my life. So yeah, I just recently told her that she didn't even know. I said, you would never leave me. She's like, yeah, no, why would I leave you? I was like, I just told you why. God told me why. All right. So I'm gonna say that part over again because I'm gonna flow. All right. So where does this leave me? In a recovery room, getting oxygen through a tube in my nose, waking up all alone. So I cry, and God comes to me to tell me why, and that he'll never leave me nor forsake me, but always stay by my side. And this makes me choose God. Because even though I knew God, I now knew God was all I needed. So I proceeded. And after a second emergency surgery, I knew I had to move with more urgency. So as I was recovering, I was only supposed to have one surgery in 2 places in my spine. And I was at home trying to recover. And after it's like maybe a 6-week, 8-week recovery. I don't remember. But at some moment, I started getting these like shoots up to my brain. And I was like, I don't know what to do. And I got rushed. My friend was there. She had called me in the bathroom. I was trying to go to the bathroom. I almost fell. If it had not been for her catching me in the bathroom, I don't know what would have happened. She called me. They called the ambulance. The ambulance got me rushed to the hospital. Did another surgery. All right. Now, it didn't happen overnight, but when I got back right, with my back right, I jumped in that fight to save souls. 2020, God told me to go to 38th in Chicago where Big Floyd got choked. Not too long after it happened, we were out there getting active, and the calling on my life was provoked. I'll talk about this more if we have time. I don't know where I'm at. Let's go back. In the midst of complete chaos, looting, shooting, marching, protesting, buildings going up, everything going up in flames, day after day, I was able to maintain. I mean, I remember a dude got shot in the head right next to me. And to this day, I still believe it was God who interrupted that officer's anger. So we were out on Lake Street, right next to the police station that was on fire. And we protested, you know what I'm saying? Hands up. And guy probably like where that chair is closer than that. There was an officer up. I looked up and shot him in his head with a rubber bullet. But there's a lot of horror stories with those rubber bullets. Another guy that we knew out on the front line, he got shot in his eye. He's blind in his eye now. That's where I attached. So even though it wasn't a metal bullet, it still could have caused damage, you know, to where it was detrimental to my journey in life. I'm just grateful that because I could have swore I looked up to this police officer and I could see him looking at me. You know what I mean? So I'm just thankful, and that speaks volumes to God always protecting me, always being there with me, no matter where I was at. In the middle of complete chaos, gas stations blowing up, looting, people getting shot. I remember on Lake Street, guy got shot. They ran up in a Cadillac pawn jewelry store, and one of the first dudes that went in there, the owner shot him with a shotgun and boom, on the way. You know what I mean? And it's a lot of stories. I could talk about this all day, but I'm just trying to unpack a lot in a short amount of time. So just bear with me. All right. So let me go back to that. In the midst of complete chaos, looting, shooting, marching, protesting, buildings blowing up, everything going up in flames, day after day, I was able to maintain. I mean, I remember a dude got shot in the head right next to me. And to this day, I still believe it was God who interrupted that officer's aim. But anyway, I stayed the mission, praying and obeying whatever God was saying. See, God works in mysterious ways, and I can now see through a different lens. Even though it seemed like a war zone that would never get better, strangers were coming together as family and friends. So the news was saying one thing, and by the time we would get home, my brother a lot of times would come out there with me, or I'd be out there by myself, or whatever. It was a completely different story of what was going on, because you know when you're actually experiencing something like that and being in the midst, you get to see for yourself what's going on, and a lot of unity was happening. You know, a lot of people coming together, all ethnicities, all religions, everything were coming together. You were seeing people hugging, praying, having fun. You know, it was a lot. If you go on my pages are public. You go to my Facebook page, all of this, you can see it happen and unfold. It's uncensored though. But the following year, a similar tragedy happened in my backyard, so I really got active. But hold on, let me go back. Unity begins, but then it happens again, right? The following year, a similar tragedy happened in my backyard, so I really got active. Dante Wright lost his life, and I knew it wasn't right, so I led a march from the site where it happened. I knew a group on 38th that was cooking, and if you see right here, when I was out protesting and all that, I saw a guy I knew who had a big grill out and formed a group, and they were cooking and feeding everybody for free. Okay, free barbecue, right? So I was like, you know what? Let me grab some drinks, you know what I'm saying, or something. And I just start helping, you know. So that's me doing that right there. So I called that guy after that same night that I led that march to the Brooklyn Center Police Precinct, and I told him, this is what I told him. I knew a group on 38th that was cooking, serving free barbecue to get the community a cushion. I told them we should link to set up at the Brooklyn Center Precinct, so we did to further the movement. And from there, everything just kept moving. I never looked back. Since then, I've been all in with my calling. I knew whatever God told me to do was worth doing. In the last 4 years, we fed well over 100,000 people. In the middle of chaos and places overcrowded, This reactive effort turned into a proactive network doing God's work, strong, that's still growing. So that's the end of that part of the poem. I do have another addition to it in a second, but I want to kind of explain a few things. Where am I after time? 1:30. 1:30, cool. All right, so I want to have at least 20 minutes to discuss things. So I'm going to try to go through these next slides pretty fast. If you have any questions that you wrote down, we can go back and talk about whatever it may be. All right, so this is important for me to talk about. So in the poem, met this guy. Well, I knew this guy because my brother's best friend is his brother. You know what I mean? That's his older brother. And I saw him cooking. And I'm like, man, what's up? And I was getting them drinks, bringing them drinks, talking to the people, being community, whatever on 38, Chicago over South. So then when Brooklyn Center happened, we were across from the precinct. And this is exactly where we're at. You see the precinct right here. I can just do it right. All right, so you buy something new, you gotta learn how to use it. All right, so this grill is the grill I was talking about. And on top of that grill, it's kind of dope that it says, "For God loved the world so much He gave." So that grill was a very, very important part of our ministry. And the guy, God rest his soul, he actually passed earlier this year. His name is Pastor Draughn, one of our mentors. That was his grill. And we've done so many events with him, and just we would do a lot of pull-ups too. It wasn't just like planning and logistics, and we need to figure out we pulling up. We got 3 tables, you know what I mean? Let's just do it. And we did it. And God, it was God. So we couldn't say and take the glory any given time, and say, oh yeah, we're doing this for the community. No, it was God. It's just being obedient. That's all it was. And as you can see, I'm representing Jesus. I love Jesus. But yeah, so that's Jesse Jackson right there, Reverend Jesse Jackson. And yeah, so yeah, a lot to say about that. But this here is the anniversary we did. George Floyd, right there on 38th, fed thousands, and yeah, made those shirts and stuff for us. But anyways, I'm not going on a tangent. Let me tell the story. Okay, so when I first started, we were first out there. I wasn't even cooking, right? I was just dressing up hot dogs, whatever y'all need me to do, let's do it. You know what I mean? I'm putting ketchup on the hot dogs and this and that. Now, I wasn't the best because I was making them how I would eat them, and I was maybe putting a little too much ketchup on something, you know what I mean? So we shifted a little bit, and I know I love to cook. They didn't know. So I'm like, let me get on the grill. Then I got on the grill, and it was a wrap. I was with it. They couldn't understand why I would never get off the grill and why packs of chicken, packs of burgers, packs of hot dogs. I'm talking about I've probably seen in the last 40 years hundreds of thousands of pieces of chicken. And if you put a grill in front of me right now, I still get down. That's my thing, right? So yeah, when I was passing out those hot dogs and condiments and things like that, people would come up to me time and time again, right here, like almost directly right here, and say, really to the left of it because we had set up so people walking. Anyways, they would say, they would be in my soul and say, thank you for what you're doing. I really appreciate this. Thank you. And I just out of nowhere would say, I'm honored to help. And I've never said that in my life, ever. And I kept saying it. And then God spoke to me. He said, yeah, you are honored to help. Go make it happen. Because he told me when he called me that I would have my own thing going on. And I told them, I was like, God's called me to do something. And I pretty much kind of interned with them in a sense, And when I started developing, I told them, I said, look, Twin Cities Relief, I said, I'm honored to help Twin Cities Relief. And Twin Cities Relief is honored to help. I don't want to split. I want us to make it bigger and do more of the work. So even though we had 2 separate entities, that you want to call them, we did a lot more by collaborating. And that's why the 2 is so significant. It's not just like Twin Cities, where 2 or more are gathered in his name, there he is in the midst. So with being founded on collaboration was an amazing thing. And this is the logo that I developed. And every time that this is worn, my sister has it on. Everywhere we go, people know. And they say, even if they don't know what we've done, they say, I love that logo. But this is the God thing. It's not about us. It's about him. like I said in one of the interviews that I had on WCCO, you know, I told them, I said, this isn't a me thing. This is a he thing. You know what I mean? What did I say? No, I said, this isn't a me thing. This is a we thing. Because I had my group of people with me. So I didn't want to just be highlighted. I wanted us all to be highlighted. And I said, this isn't a me thing. This is a we thing. But ultimately a he thing. And I pointed up to the sky. And it was very powerful, I think, for a lot of people that saw that. But yeah, so that's how Honor to Help formulated. And what have we done? Well, we've done a lot. In the past 4 years, numbers, man, I can't. My sis, she's like a walker bear. She's over here, right here. You know what I mean? We've given over just these events alone. We've given over 10,000 backpacks full of school supplies. In the first year it happened, we gave over. This was the first year. It was like an attendance of like 2,200, and we ran out of the backpacks. We had like 1,800, and I'm like, everybody that was there was like, their eyes were like, everybody that was involved, everybody that was there was like, man, this is amazing. Like, and I knew we had to keep going. But as time went on, and I want to mention this, as time went on, a lot of people that said they wanted to help, that they were passionate about doing this, that they wanted to do it, it kind of fell to the wayside, you know. And I got discouraged. You know, there's a lot of challenges. Even though I chose God, I got baptized, I did all these different things for God, the challenges didn't stop. The difference was God was with me, and I knew who to tap in with. You know, I didn't go to drugs, I didn't go to sex. You know what I mean? Yeah, I had my shortcomings. I failed and did certain things, but I jumped back up and I kept going. I knew which way to go. So I knew the right way. When you're lost and you don't know the way, you just drift off. When you know the right way, God gives you that grace, right? You use that grace to get back on that path. So that's what I did every time. Is that good? All right. So you'll see more events, back to school events. We're cooking, thousands, giving away TVs, you know, having fun, you know, bringing the community together. Our mission for Honor to Help is increasing equity through community engagement. So we engage with the community. These aren't all the things that we've done. I'll show a few of the events, but man, we've done a lot, and I don't have the time to go through everything. But just the face, just the smiles, just the impact that we've had. It's not even about the numbers, it's about the impact that we've had. If it was one person out there that we could impact, you know, that's what it's about, you know, saving souls, man, being the light, showing God within you. That's what I've been doing. We go back to what I said too. So when people were falling by the wayside, I kind of got into it with God. And I'm like, man, you called me to do this, you know, where's everybody going? You know what I mean? Why people that came was, you know, I had an army, you know what I'm saying? And he said, I told you to do it. So when I was out there by myself and people were looking at me like I was crazy, it didn't matter to me. I did it because God told me to do it. And if he said that I could do it, he qualified me to get it done. And that's what happened. Thanksgiving events, giving away turkeys, you know what I mean? We part of the Salvation Army the first year. They helped out a lot. Went and got food, you know what I mean? Just made it happen. You know what I mean? Team of friends, family. Yeah. See all these bags are all filled with groceries. This was called the brown bag giveaway. So a lot of people, they give away turkeys during Thanksgiving, right? But I was like, you know what? What's a turkey without the rest of the meal? You know what I mean? So I said, we're gonna give away the whole meal with the turkey. So what we did was we filled up these brown bags, you know, with all the essentials. I call them the essentials of having a Thanksgiving meal, and we delivered them. The first year, it was a drive-through at a recreation center in Brooklyn Park. That's where I'm from. But then we didn't have access there anymore. So I said, okay. And that's like one of the moments where I was like, man, what am I supposed to do? I don't have these resources, this and that. God said, I told you to do it. So I rented the U-Haul, and I delivered them to people's houses. I go to about 200 houses, delivering them 2 days in a row, all day, Monday and Tuesday, before Thanksgiving, to make sure that they had a meal. And That's what it takes. And you can maybe either make excuses or you can execute. And I chose execution. And because of that, because of my obedience, God continued to use me. You know, Christmas events. First year we did this, 2,800 gifts to 220 families. And all this was, mind you, this was during COVID, the height of COVID. So they didn't have access to come in and pick through toys and all that. So what did we do? They pulled up. We're outside. It's like 40 below. Bundle up. You know what I mean? I put on the Santa Claus beard and all that, call myself Scooter Claus, and we made it happen. We had cars lined up down the block. You know what I'm saying? And it was amazing, you know. And just for the record, you know, Scooter Claus is way cooler than Santa Claus. You know what I'm saying? You feel me? So I'm pulling up. We did 3 events in 3 weeks, and people that were on my team said, "Scooter, you overdoing it." I said, "No, I'm not." I said, "You just help me with this one. I'll do the rest of it." So like these here, where I'm at people's houses, I did something where I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do a free raffle, Draughn, whatever you want to call it, right? And I allowed people to sign up because everything was free. All of our events were free, and you didn't have to pay anything. You always get something while supplies last, of course, right? So 10 families, they got picked through a hat. I did a drawing with my god kids at my friend's house, and I was Santa Claus. I went live, and they picked out the hat or whatever, and I got those people's addresses, and I went there, and I brought them a $100 gift card because that's what I had, that's what I could raise. All grassroots efforts, either money out of my pocket, my family's pocket, my friends, or knocking on doors, But the good thing about that too, and I know I'm going on a tangent, I got a lot to say, my apologies, is the good thing about the grassroots efforts that we did was the relationships that we built. Now I have relationships with people who a lot of times won't even take my money. They'll just say, "Scooter, what do you need?" Because they know my level of obedience and what I'm willing to do for the kingdom. All right. So yeah, I got a lot of stories and stuff. Right here, giving out another U-Haul, giving out toys out the back of U-Haul, pull up at Cubs and Brooklyn Park and just open the door. 3 toys, come on, Scooter Claus, what's up? You know what I mean? And they just start packing the area. Now did we have the logistics? Did we have the team? Did we have, no. But we had a healthy body, we had obedience, and we had God. So we made it happen. He made it happen to us. Now this happens, right? So through all this stuff happening, these events, all this going on under the hill, blah, I'm driving one day, right? Because you probably would, I ain't gonna say that. You probably asked the question anyways. I'm driving down the road and God says, pull over to the next store and grab 3 notebooks and a pen and a pack of pens. He said, "You're a writer, so write." And I said, "Okay." I knew I was a writer, but I needed that reminder. That's why I said the Lord's reminder. And he said, "I want you to master consistency." So what he did was he said, "Post 100. I want you to start writing, whatever it is." So I started writing prayers. You know what I mean? I was going through a lot, I was going through a breakup, all this stuff was happening. And I'm like, I'm a poetic dude. I like writing poetry. I like writing letters. I like journaling. So I'm gonna write it to God. So I started writing prayers. And he said, "Okay." And in my first videos, you would see the papers that I was writing because I would show them. But he said, post 100 posts and watch what happens. Once a day. So I just started doing it. By the time I got to like 1 month, I didn't count. I just kept doing it. And my saying just was, "Yo, what's up?" I don't know. I'm walking up to the camera, "Yo, what's up? Let me pray for you." And every day, boom, 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 at least once a day. And if there was a time that I missed, for the first probably year, I ain't missing like that. But then I remember missing days and I would go harder. And that speaks volumes to like when you fall off your path, get back up and go harder. You know what I mean? So I do like 3 or 4 a day. But anyways, I go viral, right? So after a certain amount of time, I think it was like maybe 3 months, I go viral. And I didn't even know this would be the one to go viral. I didn't think that was the best prayer, you know what I mean? But it was cold. People were seeing it. Sometimes it was blizzards outside. I still was outside. My beard was all white full of snow. And this one was about distractions. And I guess a lot of people needed to hear that. You know, it was called Eliminate Distractions. And my phone just started tripping. It was like, boom, 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 zoom, zoom, like, what's going on? And 1.3 million, 1.5 million, 2.3 million, 3.2 million, million. And then I would get these inboxes, man, that changed my life. Because there was a lot of times and a lot of challenges that I went through where I wanted to quit. But I get these reminders, and I remember vividly many times, especially the first time, a person got into my inbox and they said, thank you for that prayer. You saved my life. I was just about to kill myself. And it spoke volumes to me because I've been there. And I talked to them, and I let them know that I'm not some famous guy. I'm just a nobody trying to help somebody. You know what I mean? And I just kept helping people. You know, I'm honored to help. That's what I'm going to do. So that happened. Now, my mom would say this saying all the time, right? When things would try to get in your way and people would try to deter you from your path or evil would happen, my mom would say, man, ain't nothing but the devil, right? So there's a couple of things that try to break me. These are the last two slides, and we can talk. Hopefully, we got time. 15 minutes.
15, yeah.
Talk to me. All right. So one of the things was I was out doing a Juneteenth celebration, collabing with the city of Brooklyn Park. And I'm cooking. These are all carts, like 5 carts. You know what I'm saying? If I was by myself, I had to push them off. If someone was with me, we had to figure it out. We didn't have no trucks. We didn't have none of that. 4 trips. You know what I'm saying? So we grab all this stuff, go cook for the community. We fed probably about 500-600 that day. Well, while that was happening, people in the community, for political gain, things like that. So I don't really mess with politics too tough because I'm a purposeful guy, and a lot of times that'll get in the way because people try to, I would say, manipulate to get power, right? And it really irks me. But this really got to me because while I was doing this, they were passing out these flyers that said, Scooter works at the request of the current mayor. He's delivered nothing on our behalf. Scooter will introduce himself as a neutral party. He doesn't care how you live. He's an aggressive towards tenants like you and I who simply wish to stand up for ourselves. He is the teacher's pet of the mayor. Scooter has lived in BP for most of his life. He will tell you a story about how he's lived in apartment buildings. Wouldn't you think someone who has experienced living in poverty would want to make a positive change? No, he doesn't. Has not and will not. So this group or whatever, they tried to start something and they felt the need to put me down to make themselves seem like they were doing something. Whatever. It was getting to me, and my sister was like, don't, just keep doing it. And that's what I did. He kept doing it. And then this happens, right? So I wanted to play it, but I don't think we got enough time. I want to talk to y'all. But I'll give you the link or whatever, and you can watch this incident. This was a very major incident because where I would go to do my prayers, I felt where home base was the church, right? So I go to like random church parking lots. Now there's one right next to my house, so I can walk to. I'm talking about like 2 minutes, I'm right there. So I go there before I go on about my day because my thing is Matthew 6:33. I live my life based on that. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be added unto you. So before I start my day, let's get a prayer in, right? I go do it. I'm setting up doing my prayer. And this, mind you, right? This is winter break. This is like 4 days after my birthday. I'm born December 26th, right? I'm in the parking lot about to do my prayer. This lady pulls up on me. And she's like, she's just staring at me, right? She's staring at me for a while. I'm like, how you doing, ma'am? I go up to her. I'm like, how you doing, ma'am? My name's Scooter. I do prayers. I don't care. He said, this is private property. You need to leave now. I'm calling the police. So I'm like, what? God immediately told me. He said, go live. I said, I did. I went live. Long story short, she called the police. It was a big incident, and it broke me. I'm not gonna lie. It broke me because there's a lot of lies going on. There's a lot of stuff that I wasn't even told about this stuff. And it got to me to the point where I cried on live. I was a grown man crying, you know what I'm saying? And yeah, to this day, I try not to even do too much with it or think about it. But God told me, I'm saying this part, and then I promise I'm done. God told me at a certain point, he told me to reveal, he told me to, to fight, stand up for myself, you know what I'm saying? And to reveal the truth, get the truth about it, you know what I mean? And it was getting so tiring, man. And I could have went viral. I mean, this went viral, but I could have went to CNN. I could have did all these different things and got lawyers involved now. And I got to a point where I was like, I'm just tired, God. You know what I mean? I'm battling with suicide, all kind of stuff. I'm still dealing with all this stuff, trying to take care of myself, but taking care of hundreds of thousands of people. I'm just one person, and I'm not rich. I'm just obedient to God, right? So this happens in the midst of that, this challenge. And God told me, he said, all right, son, if I told you to give it to me, he said, vengeance is mine. If I told you to give it to me and continue doing the work that I told you to do, focus on that, would you do it? I said, yeah. He said, do it. I said, okay. He said, it's gonna be a teaching moment. I'm gonna make this work in your favor. And my brother here called me, brother Nick. He said, ain't known from a campaign. Called me and told me he had found me because of this incident. And look where I'm at. Right? So when God tells you to do something, just be obedient. You may not know why he's saying it in that moment, but eventually you will. And then I'm telling you right now, you can see it. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I have to be continued. You're sending God in the back, healing our community does a lot as family. We collab, we make stuff happen. So I'm honored to help still going through God. It's a whole bunch going on. So yeah. And then when people ask me what I am, I tell them I'm a nobody that's just trying to help somebody. And when people ask me what I do, I simply say whatever God tells me to do. So I also had another poem, but I want to talk to y'all or at least answer a couple questions. So if anybody has any questions, I want to go back. We got how much time?
10 to 15 minutes.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
I saw some of y'all writing too, so don't act like
Real quick, the pastor, I'm just curious, one of the events that you had, that passed away, was that Pastor Ron McConaughey?
Yeah.
Yes, his McConaughey family is known for a long time. Mentor John and Melody.
Yeah.
Married them.
Mm-hmm.
So we said the real John, Ron was a pillar in the community. So I guess some connections with you.
For sure, we need to talk. Crazy part about that is I went to that funeral and they asked me to speak.
Yeah.
So I did a. You know the funeral?
Yeah.
So you saw me. Yeah. The poem. Right. The poem at the funeral. And that was probably one of the first times I got up and spoke to a lot of people as well. I said this was the first time, but now that I think about it, that was probably one of the first times. But yeah, Ron was, man, he missed and yeah. So, anybody else? Don't be shy now. I got prizes, so. Nobody got a question?
So as they're getting their thoughts together, they will call my problem. You made a point earlier that I thought, it's really powerful. We talk a lot in our classes about counter stories, right? You're being told, or you might, someone you're working with or on the news or whatever it is might phrase something one particular way. And we challenge our students to look for the counter story. Like what's another way of understanding what just happened or what transpired, right? Like who are you talking to understand the story?
Right.
I was wondering if you talk from both perspectives, just somebody who's been through some things. What just personally is it like to be to yourself either be misunderstood or to have a situation be misunderstood, right? So if you're talking days after George Floyd was murdered, it's like, I'm hearing on news one thing, but I don't know my experience is something else. Can you say something about what it's like to be misrepresented or mischaracterized, but also like what is it like to feel validated in somebody acknowledging or asking you for your perspective and your story?
Well, I mean, I've been misunderstood all my life, and I feel like with the inconsistencies in my life and just having the need to want to fit in certain places. We come from the projects and where it was majority Black people, to the suburbs where it starts off all white people. And the differences in those pictures where they were all white people with white mentors and coaches. And then some years you see my dad, that was the difference. My dad was the coach, right? And in those years, we became champions, right? So we were championship teams when I had my dad. When we had that type of stuff and had other people who thought like me, talked like me, dressed like me, and acted like me because they came from where I came from or had similar challenges. And I feel like the level of empathy is higher when you've been through. A lot of people who will judge you, they haven't been through. You know what I mean? And I always tell people, I'm not qualified to judge you, I'm only qualified to love you. So that's what I do, right? And when I tell people stuff like that, and I say it in a slick way, and it rhymes up, they stop and they're like, who knows? Oh. So then I got their attention, and then I can minister to them, right? Really, it's not me; it's just him using me, speaking through me, because he, like I say, he speaks to me through me. Because I'm sitting there like, dang, did I just say that? A lot of times, right? And to answer your question, man, to be misunderstood sucks, because you got to try to explain why you are the way you are, and you're a human just like everybody else. Why you make mistakes and need the same grace, right? Well, we all do. We all need Jesus. And if we all come from that place, then we can all pipe down, right? And have more empathy. I don't expect or accept sympathy, but I respect empathy. And empathy is understanding. Sympathy is, oh, it's going to be okay. No, it's not going to be okay. You know what I mean? I had to watch my mother get poison put in her body. Her fingernails fall out, shaved her head, you know what I'm saying? And had to just keep it together while trying to work a job, trying to go to school, trying to do these different things. And nobody knew. You never know what a person's going through. So if you sit around judging somebody and making it seem like laughing at somebody, try to get to know them. Because once you get to know them, I bet you have more empathy for them, right? So I don't know if I answered that question, but my heart's just speaking. And I just feel like with me, being misunderstood so much, it became normal to me. I felt like, man, they're not gonna understand me. That's why I went to shell. I didn't talk. I did poetry. When I was in college, the one thing that I wish I would have did, because I didn't graduate, I dropped out, but network, talk to people. But here I am, wearing my baggy clothes, going there, in and out, going with my older cousins, doing street stuff. Inconsistent. I wasn't fitting in with them. Nobody even came up to me to get to know me. They just judged me, and it was almost like, they were connected. You know what I'm saying? So I just feel like, I don't know, man, being misunderstood and it's critical in making the wrong decisions. And I feel like that was the reason why I made a lot of wrong decisions, because I was trying to understand myself, while people were judging me for not being able to understand. And if they would have just chopped it up with me and talked to me, we would have got understanding. And I always say to people, you know, communication is the key to the door of understanding. So if we communicate, we can unlock that door and, you know, and understand each other better and be able to, you know, give each other more empathy and grace. So that's my answer.
We have time, maybe 2 questions. We have like 5, 7 minutes.
All right.
How did your relationship with Jesus start? Was it when you were first committed to the suicide unit, you tested a Bible?
It was before then. My father, so his father was a minister. I didn't know him well, but he always talked about God and stuff like that. Funny part is, the most of the times we went to churches for a funeral. You know what I mean? I've been over 15 funerals in my life, all family. And it's one thing to be taught about God, because it says raise a child up in the way you should go and you'll never depart from it, right? Cool. But it's different when you have your own experience, when God comes to you. And when I was in that suicide unit, that's when he came to me. Before then, I always had I felt like I had a relationship. I felt like I knew what, you know, right from wrong, things like that. I tried to read the Bible. I remember when I was little, I had a picture Bible, you know what I'm saying? Stuff like that, but it's nothing like actually having that experience. And to answer your question, being in that suicide unit, that was it. That was that experience. And I had more experiences after, because see, the inconsistencies, God didn't let me be consistent with the things he didn't want me to be consistent with. So I kept having these roadblocks, right? And if they took me to go into the suicide unit or be in the hospital or have a back surgery or almost die, then that's what it takes because he loved me that much to get my attention. And when he came to me the night that I had the surgery and I wasn't breathing and I got, they gave me a Narcan, I went back to whatever. When he came to me that time, that was even more powerful. And I just knew I had to change. You know what I'm saying? And having to learn, get back on my feet and walk. And, you know what I'm saying? It just was a process. And I just couldn't keep doing the same things over and over, expecting different results. But that's the definition of insanity. So I chose God. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully that answers the question. Anybody else? Okay. I can't hear you, Pete.
Oh, yeah. Concerning others is very rewarding, but it's also very heavy work. Do you have any practices that fuel you to continue? And what is your advice to people in the helping profession as a follower?
Prayer, fellowship, but real believers, people that's going through a issue, that know, you know what I mean? Every time we're out there, that's fellowship. We're breaking bread, we're having fellowship, that's church. You know what I mean? That's church, coming together with your community, coming together with people who just love God. And that's what fueled me. The crazy part is, I wasn't even eating meat the first 2 years that I was cooking. I stopped eating meat. So I'm cooking the chicken. People are saying, man, this chicken, you got a restaurant? This chicken's so good. I'm like, yeah, right. I'm not tasting it. So I know that was kind of like off, but it's, the thing about it is to stay on topic was just basically to stay around the people who actually love you and who actually love God first and foremost. What does the word say? Love the Lord your God with all your heart, your mind, your soul, and your strength, everything. And then what? Huh? Like yourself, right? Boom. So everybody gets a prize for that. So yeah, love your neighbor like yourself, and that's what we were doing. When you listen to God, I always tell people pray and obey. So the first thing I said to you was I pray, and when I started saying that, God said to me, He said, prayer is a way for you to talk to me, but when you obey, that's how I talk to you. I speak to you through your obedience. Because why would I talk to you if you're not even going to listen? So the more that you're listening to me, the more that we can engage and I can talk to you. You get what I'm saying? So that's what we did. We had fellowship. We just did more of the work. And I would be the one to be like, man, let's pull up over here. Let's go over here. We did way more than what I showed. I couldn't talk about it all. I remember the NAACP calling me because a little boy got murdered over north, and they Scooter, we need you over here. All right, stop what I was doing right in my tracks and went over there. Blood on the ground. They kicked the mayor out, but they tell Scooter to stay. You get what I'm saying? It's because it's not me. It's the presence of God. It's my obedience. It's God. It's the Holy Spirit. Even if they don't know what it is, we know as believers. We should. Where two or more gather in His name, there He is in the midst of them. So we stay together. That's what I do to keep myself fueled. This right here. Whew.
Scooter, thank you. I do think Scooter's going to hang around for a little bit and hang out down in the CCC, maybe do some talk with some students or be introduced. So if you don't have class, follow fanboy, right? Like let's follow down and kind of get all the thank you, Scooter.
Thank you.
Being misunderstood sucks. I appreciate that. I mean, it's simple. And so I really challenge. This is why we do this series. It's like nothing else. Be convicted. You get to know people. And in your work, and as you continue to develop as a social worker, seek to understand. Seek to ask questions. Be curious about them. Curious about their situations, as opposed to judge. Right? Walking into a patient's room or a classroom. Be curious. So again, yeah, go for it.
Oh yeah, one more thing. So I come with gifts always. I just ask
Scooter clocks.
Yeah, scooter clocks. Enjoy those bracelets. They have a scripture on the inside. I call them prayer brands. And then just do me a favor and follow me on Instagram. It's going to be OOTDEEZY. I go live. I do prayers. All my content is God inspired, Holy Spirit inspired content, and I'm just raw, vulnerable, unfiltered. So I just try my best to just let God do His thing. So I just appreciate y'all. I really do. Thank you for your time.
Go ahead.
Real quick, it'd be an honor, man. Can we pray for you?
Yeah.
No
No doubt. No doubt.
Just real quick, so and then we'll cut things off and everything. So next month in November, we're going to invite Melanie Walby as our Human Experience Series speaker. Melanie is an author, designer, artist, and so it's just another individual who want to hear her story. So look for announcements in your e-announcements, social experience. We'll make sure you get a particular invite for that. I appreciate it. Jamie, you want to-
Heavenly Father, we just boldly come to the throne of grace and we praise your name. Not for anything else, but to praise you for who you are. That you've shown yourself to be the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords, the Alpha, the Omega, the beginning and the end. Lord, thank you for what you've done in our stories. Thank you for intervening. Thank you for bringing life. Thank you for having a plan. Thank you that you have plans for us to prosper us and not to harm us and to give a hope in the future. Lord, I thank you that we've overcome the enemy by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony. And I thank you, Lord God, for Brother Scooter's testimony today. Lord, for where you took him from, where he is now, but also where he's going. Lord, I would just ask that your strong hand be placed upon him and his family. Lord, I would ask that you would increase his territory and influence for the kingdom, where he's at and how he's leading. Lord, according to Ephesians chapter 1, give him the spirit of wisdom and revelation that he might continue to know you better, to make an impact on this world. So, Father, we thank you and continue to ask, Lord, that he would dwell in your presence to make a difference in this life. I thank you for his light and let it continue to burn bright. I thank you for the courage and just the blessing to be able to speak truth about where God is doing in his life and what he's doing in all of our lives. Awaken us, God, not just to you, but also to the needs around us. Thank you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Anybody that asked a question, I know you asked a question. You asked a question. You.